What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the Prep Rally Podcast, your go-to for high school sports action in Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley. I'm your host, Sydney Ruth Mulvannon.
I'm Graham Thomas here in Northwest Arkansas. We've got Leland Barclay in the River Valley. We've got highlights, hype, the Gimme 5, top 5. We're counting down the top athletes of the week from Northwest Arkansas and the River Valley.
Whether you're listening on the way to practice or sitting in the stands, we've got something for every high school sports fan. Let's kick it off with this week's biggest wins and wildest finishes as we reel it back. All right, guys, let's get started. This was a crazy week of games. Let's reel it back, y'all. Let's talk about some of these games this week. They were wild.
I think we got to start with you. Battle of Springdale.
Yeah, the Battle of Springdale.
Woo!
The Prep Rally crew was at that one because we have an episode coming out soon, and it's the Battle of Springdale. Har-Ber and Springdale in one episode. You don't want to miss it. It's a good one. That was a crazy game. I don't think I've ever been to that much of a wilder game. It was just crazy how, especially like Har-Ber, Springdale at first, like both sides when they got there, just super chill. And then all of a sudden you hear so much taunting going on. And
Trash talk.
Yeah, no, seriously. Like one of my favorite moments was kicker for Springdale when he was practicing. He was kicking it towards the student section at Har-Ber, and I think the Har-Ber student section fell for it because they were like, hey, man, make sure you kick it that way and all this stuff. And just some of the Springdale players were smiling and laughing about it. And then I think it was in the first quarter, that same kicker hit a 56-yarder and made it.
He got AJ Woods got the last laugh.
Yeah,
didn't he?
so I don't think he has a problem with directional kicking. I think it was just a taunting tactic, which worked.
Did anybody pick Springdale to win this game?
No,
I know I
should have.
Well,
I should have.
Diana did.
Yeah, our producer. You should have seen her during the game. She was, of course, unbiased, but at the same time, she was like anytime Springdale had a touchdown, she was like, I can't.
Well, I'll tell you what, Springdale High with a huge 47-43 win over the Wildcats at Wildcat Stadium. Just a great ball game. Springdale had a big interception return right at the end to kind of slam the door.
That was also a wild one. I will give the video to Diana for this, but Faith and I were on the sideline, and I did get half of that interception down the field before Faith and I got trampled by Springdale players. I mean, y'all, I stepped on the field. I don't know if that's allowed, but I didn't want to get run over. So
now, Sydney,
that was scary.
If you get ejected from a ball game, I don't know what there's.
The ref saw me clear as day and saw how tiny I was compared to these players. I don't think he minded. He was like, her life just got saved.
Well, I know Leland loves a good rivalry, and I know you probably had some reacts to Springdale getting the big win over Har-Ber.
Well, in a game like that, a rivalry game, the big difference, Har-Ber had 535 yards of offense, and we knew they were probably the better offensive team, but 3 turnovers by Springdale. Har-Ber, 0 by Springdale, and one of those turnovers went the other way, 94 yards for a touchdown. So, again, big game, crosstown rivals. Turnovers was the difference.
And Carson Hayter played really well for Springdale. Not only did he run the ball effectively from the quarterback spot, he threw it too. Mm-hmm. And when they get that kind of a combination going with the kind of offense that they run, that makes them really tough.
And a shout out to Easton Hahn as well. That kid plays on both sides of the ball, and even he had a difficulty with his hamstring throughout the game, but he kept going in and out. And you could just tell Springdale just wanted it a little bit more. I think some of their players were just like on the side cramping a little bit, but they still continue to go out there. So that was impressive.
Remember, folks, this week, Springdale episode, Prep Rally Road Trip. How about that?
I
know. I'm giving you.
He's giving another plug.
Hey, I'm excited about it. These are really good pieces that you guys do, and maybe one day we'll get to be a part of one. So, Hey, another huge game up in Rogers, Bentonville West at Rogers, and man, the Mounties they show up Sydney in all black uniforms,
That was
and
just, I mean, we were keeping tabs with the game throughout at Springdale, but that was a little shocking, honestly, for me, because I think in that game, Bentonville West more looked like the team they were last year than the team that they're proving themselves to be this year.
well, on defense they really had a tough time
Yeah.
stopping Rogers. Period,
Hmm.
and that's the deal with Rogers. Is you really can't give them any extra possessions. There are a couple of turnovers. Again, we're talking, the theme here: turnovers. You just can't turn the ball
Yeah.
over, and especially against a team like Rogers, who's going to convert. I mean, they scored 10 touchdowns.
I mean, what
That's
was it last week during the Fayetteville game? It was like 5 turnovers,
a couple of weeks
something like
ago
that.
when Fayetteville turned it over 5 times against Bentonville West and got
Yeah.
darn near mercy ruled. This one was a mercy rule in the end. The running clock hit a little bit in the fourth quarter. Bentonville West did score 42 points, and I'll tell you, they've still got a really good team.
They
They
do.
just gotta
They do.
they've got to look at the film and kind of figure out where they went wrong on defense. Now, look, this is something that a lot of teams are saying about Rodgers. They have not figured out how to stop Jeff Regan. They've not figured out how to stop Titus Cramer. And then when they do kind of key in on those guys running the ball, Rodgers goes boop, throws it over the top. So, I mean, Leland, I don't know how you can stop them. Maybe you've got a good idea because it's been a struggle up here for these guys.
Well, I mean, the key, and we kind of said this from the beginning of the season, a key for them was getting the addition of Titus Cramer to come in and be an additional complement to Jeff Regan's ability on the ground. I mean, Jeff Regan, 212 yards rushing, Titus Cramer, 209 yards rushing. They combined for 8 rushing touchdowns. Of course, they had,
Wow.
like you said, 10 as a team. That's almost an unbeatable combination. 70 points earlier this year. They scored 84. I think they're leading the state in scoring. Yeah, who's going to slow them down? We'll see. They've still got that big game against Bentonville, coming up. So we'll see them. And of course, the playoffs is always a telling tale for these teams when they start matching, Central and West. But right now they're rolling.
Let's keep it with you, Leland. Shiloh Christian, Fort Smith Southside. I mean, the final score, you're not going to believe it, but it was a defensive battle early.
Yeah, Southside was up 10-8. Rodrigo Hernandez kicked a 27-yard field goal in the second quarter, and Southside's up 10-8. A couple of turnovers, a couple of defensive stops, and then Shiloh Christian scored 2 touchdowns in the last 3 minutes of the first half, and then they didn't score on their opening possession of the third quarter, but Southside fumbled a punt, and then Shiloh Christian scored on 4 straight possessions to kind of put the game away, and just a really good all-around outing by Shiloh Christian. Very balanced. Cole Creighton, of course, threw for 305 yards and 4 touchdowns, but they attempted 32 passes. They rushed 33 times. Max Eldridge, 94 yards and 3 touchdowns on the ground. A very balanced attack, and just kind of pulled away from Southside and won a big road game. And this is huge for the Saints because they now have played Greenwood, Mountain Home, and Southside. So, they've kind of got the I guess maybe we'll see if it finishes this way, but maybe those 4 teams are the top 4 in the conference. Now Van Buren's still sitting there saying, they're 3-0, so
Yeah, they're
we'll
they're
see.
saying
But
they're saying what about us?
yeah, they're saying what about us? But it's a huge win for Shiloh Christian and puts them in a very good position.
Well, speaking of Van Buren, they've been doing what Van Buren does here lately. They rolled up Lake Hamilton really good last week at home, and those guys are 3-0 for the first time since when?
1999.
Woo!
Wow. The year
Yeah,
before
none of
I was
these players were
born.
You
even
weren't even
born.
you weren't even born.
None of these players were even born at that time. As
I
and
wasn't
as
even
Harold
born.
as Harold McIlvain pointed out, Mo Henry was going to school at, I think he said, Arkansas Tech. So obviously that was he was playing for Arkansas Tech after a standout career at Nashville High. So Van Buren 24 passing attempts, 28 rushing
Oh,
attempts,
balance.
390 yards, 19 first downs. They're very balanced and they're doing it both ways. And I tell you, defensively, a shutout last week, they gave up one touchdown this week. So they've given up one touchdown the last 2 weeks. So defensively, they're very good as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, not only do they have a shutout on the road at Siloam, which, Siloam has a freshman quarterback, okay? But to only give up 6 points, 7 points against Lake Hamilton, who's, runs a very tricky offense, I guess I should say. That's impressive.
Absolutely. Yep. To get those 2 wins back to back. And of course, they're going into their meat of their schedule now, and it starts with Southside at home on Friday night.
Well, we'll get to that in a second. Hey, how about Greenbrier? You called it, Leland. Asan, the running back from Greenbrier, really had a big night against Farmington, and the Greenbrier Panthers got the win.
Yeah, Farmington led at the half 28-21, and then Enoch Hassan scored 4 touchdowns in the second half, ended up with 280, I think, rushing. Big game for him, and we'll see if these end up being the top 2 teams in the conference. A lot of ball left to be played, but Greenbrier is definitely took a big step on Friday night to be in that number 1 seed.
And last and certainly not least, Sydney, the Fayetteville Bulldogs are back on track. They broke that 3-game losing streak and got them they scored 62 points and beat Northside, and everybody's feeling good again. And I'm going back to what I said. This team is really dangerous and really capable because they can score a lot of points. So I'm just saying, don't write off Fayetteville.
As an alumni, I'm proud. All right, let's go into our sponsor. Are you guys ready? Leland, are you ready?
Sure.
Okay. Take control of your pests with Wes. Whether it's termites, mosquitoes, bedbugs, weeds, or lawn disease, Wes has the experience of serving Arkansas, Missouri, and Oklahoma since 2003. Book your free consultation online today at westermite.com. After all, Wes knows pests best. Yeah. I think that was our best one, you guys. All right. When we come back, we'll look at the upcoming matches and predictions. Stay tuned. This is Prep Rally. Welcome back to Prep Rally. We're going to get into some upcoming matches and predictions.
Okie dokie. Here we go. Well, we're just going to start off with the big one this week. And, on paper, you might think, well, Bentonville's 6-0, Fayetteville's 3-3. Okay, this is a huge one. Bentonville at Fayetteville is always a big one, and usually goes a long way toward determining who's going to win the 7A West Conference. So, Bentonville has kind of been laying in the weeds a little bit, Sydney. They've beaten Northside, they've beaten Har-Ber, they beat Rogers Heritage last week. Those games haven't gotten a lot of the pub that we might give some of these others.
Yeah.
You call it the Battle of the Better-villes, right?
Yes, this is the Battle of the Better-ville. So I want to say, purple will reign on Friday night. And that's what I'm going to continue with. Purple will reign on Friday night over Bentonville.
Boy, we're just jumping right into the picks here, Leland. We're not even gonna break this thing down. We're just purple rain.
Yeah, Fayetteville will win over Bentonville just because I think they got a lot to prove in this game, and they're still a really good football team. And it's a rivalry for them. I think this is the biggest game for Bentonville and Fayetteville, whether other people want to say not, but it is.
You know what you just done is that's gonna be on the loop in the Bentonville locker room all week. Is purple will rain, purple will rain.
Well, I hope so. It's up to you if it gets in your head. It's a mental game.
Well, I'll tell you what. Fayetteville beat them twice a couple of years ago, including in the state championship game, and then Bentonville got a little payback last year. This one's at Fayetteville. It's really difficult to win, at Harmon Field. Rogers, when Fayetteville just seems to really get going there on offense. So we'll just see, because Rogers had a tough time there as well.
I mean, I think it's, up there with the Battle of Springdale, Battle of the Better-ville. Like, this is your second top rivalry. So it's going to be an intense game.
Now, Leland, this is not anything that you haven't said before already. You got Bentonville ranked number one in the state overall. So, I mean, you know, I feel like I know where you're going to go in this one, but I know you picked Fayetteville to be in the state championship game as well.
Yeah, I mean, I've picked Bentonville number one in the Arkansas sports media poll since the beginning of the season. Um, because two things, they play defense and they run the ball. One thing coaches love to say is, defense travels. So we know that Bentonville's defense is going to travel to Fayetteville on Friday night. Now, does Fayetteville have the better skill set players? That's possible. Hank Hendricks and throw into that, array of receivers. Um, because here, I think the biggest thing is we know that Fayetteville is better than 1 and 2. Is Bentonville as good as we think they are? That's really the two biggest questions going into this game. And I think Fayetteville is better than obviously a 1-2 record. I think Bentonville is, I just think they're just really a good team that's just kind of, went through the motions the last couple of weeks. But I think I think Bentonville wins the game.
Tough road assignment for sure. We're already getting into the who you got. So, let's go do a little some more of the big games though, just to mention here. Rogers, coming off the big win against Bentonville West, travels to Springdale. Springdale comes back home and got a tough assignment with the Mounties.
Mm-hmm.
Har-Ber a little down in the dumps a little bit after losing the rivalry game. They've got to travel to Bentonville West, who's a little down in the dumps after losing at Rogers. So that's the down in the dumps bowl. Which team is gonna get back up off the deck and come win? And then how about this one? The Winless Bowl. Winless Northside visits Winless Heritage. Somebody's going to come out of here with a win. Leland's going to be there. I mean, he's going to be there to see it. And,
wow.
This is a big game for both teams, Leland.
So Battle of the Winless Bowl.
Oh,
so does it mean if they if they lose, they're the winner of the Winless Bowl?
No. No. Not at all.
No, I tell you what it does do is one of these teams, the coaching staff is going to be able to go back and tell them that all that hard work has paid off. So I'm excited to see the game. I haven't been to, Gates Stadium in a long time, but I'm looking forward to the game. I think it's going to be a very good game. I think it's going to be a very competitive game, and somebody is going to be very happy on Friday night.
And from a reporter's perspective, when you get to interview a coach that has been through a tough part of the season and they get to talk about a win, it is really, really cool. I mean, he's not kidding about that. I mean, it's just someone is going to be really, really happy on either side of this.
Yeah.
And so we're excited about that one. Leland, and, Leland is, coming up here and covering that game for us, but down in the River Valley, we've got a heck of a matchup. Fort Smith Southside at Van Buren just has all the makings for an offensive shootout and a great game.
Oh, absolutely. This is a gigantic game. Of course, Van Buren's first, 3-0 start since 1999. Southside coming off a loss to Shiloh Christian, in which their quarterback was knocked out of the game, left the game. They lost an offensive lineman for the season, one of their better ones. But they will get one of their offensive linemen back for this game. This is probably for a home playoff game in the first round of the playoffs. So that in itself is just gigantic. And it was funny talking to Coach Mo Henry from Van Buren at Media Day way back in July, talking about this team has won. These seniors have been part of teams that have won first round playoff games each of the last 2 seasons, but they had to travel all the way across the state to do it. Is this the group that can get out over the hump and get a home playoff game? Well, they're now within 1 win of possibly getting that. So it's a huge game for Van Buren being at home, a huge game for Southside to bounce back from that loss last week and still earn a home playoff game.
All right, and the other game I was just going to mention here. There's, you can go and read our publications to see the complete schedule of games. But in the 4A1, you got Elkins coming off an 83-point performance against Lincoln. 83 points.
I mean, Arkansas scored 70 points against whoever last year, and they still.
What, in basketball?
No, in football, 70-0, and yet against like Pine Bluff, I think, and they still had a 6-6 season. So that doesn't mean much to me.
Okay, well, Elkins at Prairie Grove. Now, Elkins has been the dominant team in the 4A1 conference. Going to Prairie Grove is a little different. They're going to get a battle from the Tigers. So we're going to keep an eye on that one as well. So let's just go into who you got. So Sydney's already got Fayetteville. Leland's already got Bentonville. So I guess that leaves me on who you got. You know what? I'm going to go Fayetteville.
Wow. Leland's not even phased.
I picked him to win the conference. I know that's a tough assignment to go into Fayetteville and win. And I think Fayetteville will be as excited for this game as they've been for any other this season. They're going to play really, really well. Bentonville is going to play the best team they've played all year, in my opinion. So with respect to all their non-conference wins, they haven't seen an offense like what Hank Hendricks and Fayetteville does, and I just think Fayetteville makes a play or two more. So sorry, Bentonville.
But I do agree with Leland on the one aspect of their defense does travel well. So we will see. We will see.
Defense.
Well, and Graham, you said you picked Fayetteville at the first of the season to win the conference. This is the same team that you picked early in the year. So there's no reason to get off of them at this time. Now, have they had a couple of speed bumps along the way? Yes, but they're still very capable. And it's still, I'm not ruling out the fact that they can get back to the state championship game either. I mean, we know how good they are. It's just a matter of going out and playing and we'll see. And this will be maybe the test to see if they can be that team.
Mm-hmm.
So who else on who you got? We're going to go to Elkins at Prairie Grove. Really hard to go against Elkins, so I'm going to take Elkins to win. Tough battle at Prairie Grove. Who you got, Sydney?
I'm going to go Elkins.
Who you got, Leland?
Well, you say it's hard to go against Elkins. It's hard to go against Prairie Grove because this is one of those games. Elkins is coming off an 83-point performance. They're not going to score 83 points on Friday night because they're not going to have the opportunities to score 83 points. This is one of those games where Elkins may get 8 possessions, 7 possessions. I still think they're good enough to win this game, but they have to make those possessions count because Prairie Grove's going to grind it out, and they're going to rush the ball 55 times. I still think Elkins wins the game.
So, because I was on my Razorback tangent earlier, I kind of missed which team you were talking and scored the 83 points. So, I actually am going to go with Prairie Grove. I thought it was the other team. My bad.
Okay, I like it.
Yeah.
That's not a bad pick. Prairie Grove's
because I agree with Leland on that. That was the point I was making earlier.
They used to make fun of me, but you just don't walk into Prairie Grove and win. So
yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying that's the first one of the year for that. Northside at Heritage.
The winless bowl.
With all love and respect to the Heritage coaching staff, Coach Munoz is just a great guy and really enjoy visiting with him. But I think Fort Smith Northside is just going to have a little too much for Heritage to deal with. So I'm going Northside at Heritage.
I'm going to go Northside as well, yeah.
Leland, who you got?
Yeah, I think that Northside has at least adjusted now to losing Drew Jackson for a few games. Warren Bijou has moved to quarterback. I think he's gotten more comfortable in that spot now. And I think that's the difference in the game is that Northside has adjusted to a loss of their quarterback, and I think they win on the road.
We'll go Rogers at Springdale. I like Brett Hobbs a lot. What a great win. But I think they're going to have a tough time slowing down Rogers. And they're going to throw the kitchen sink at trying to stop Rogers. And I just don't know how that's going to work out. So I'll take Rogers. Who you got, Sydney?
This is going to be my tough pick of the week. I think Springdale had the momentum on Friday night, and they did get really encouraged from that game. But again, as Leland was saying earlier, about 500 and something yards on a defense given up to Har-Ber. So I'm going to have to say Rogers on this one. But I do think it's going to be a hard-fought game.
Leland, who you got on this one?
Well, this is going to be a very interesting game to watch from Springdale's defensive perspective. Kenneth Chick is a veteran defensive coordinator at Springdale. He was on Greenwood's staff when they won multiple state championships, came to Fayetteville for a year, and then went and joined, Brett Hobbs at Springdale. He has seen high-powered offensives throughout his career. So it'll be interesting to see what he has dialed up on defense on Friday night. Now, I don't think it's going to be enough to stop Rogers. Nobody has stopped Rogers. Can they slow him down some? I think they slow him down some, but Rogers still wins.
The big one in 6A West, Fort Smith Southside at Van Buren. Man, I have been going back and forth on this one. It seems like every time these two play, Southside is too much for Van Buren, but I just don't know this year. I'm concerned about the injuries on Southside side of things. Is the quarterback going to be back? And Van Buren's at home. So I'm going Van Buren. Who you got?
I'm on a roll with Van Buren, so Van Buren.
Leland?
Well, let's see. No, I think for the most part, I think this is a toss-up. But I just think Van Buren right now has a lot of momentum going, and Southside is beat up some. And I've got to think Van Buren at home with the momentum they have going, I think wins on Friday night, wins against Southside 2 years in a row.
So that's our who you got this week, Sydney.
Yeah. And before we get into the Gimme 5, we want to remind everyone that NWAOnline.com and River Valley Democrat-Gazette are the premier spots to get all the greatest and latest news in all of high school sports. Additionally, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Prep Rally Sports, where we share exclusive interviews with players, coaches, and also Prep Rally Road Trip, which is pretty awesome. So you want to stay tuned for that.
Oh, and be sure and pay attention to our Facebook page over the next few weeks. You guys have got some things coming from Basketball Media Day. They're going to be just so much fun.
Don't give it away, but you want to stay tuned for that. And no basketball player was spared. Let's just get that off the chest here. So now we're going to go into our Gimme 5.
My name is Jonah Calderon, and this is the River Valley Gimme 5.
These are the top 5 performances of the last week in the River Valley, and we're going to get a little defensive in this edition. Number 5, Braxton Hubble, a sophomore defensive end for Boonville, in a 42-7 win against Greenland on Friday night. 3 sacks for the sophomore defensive end.
3
Number
sacks,
4,
that's more than Walmart has.
Yeah, that's a good performance. Number 4, who wears number 4 for the Mansfield Tigers, sophomore halfback Silas Burton in a 70-14 win against Levac on Friday night. He had 3 carries for 143 yards and 3 touchdowns.
I just did the math. That's 47.6 yards per carry.
Wow. Yeah, one of his longest touchdown run was 67 yards. 3 carries, 3 touchdowns. Mansfield ran for 502 yards on Friday night. They also threw for 123, 625 yards of offense in a 70-14 win against Levaca. Number 3, senior linebacker for Van Buren, Darren Mays, has been at the forefront of that defense all season long in a 36-7 win against Lake Hamilton. He had 13 tackles, including 4 solo stops, and there have been a lot of standouts for them defensively through this 3-0 run to start conference play, but Darren Mays has certainly been at the forefront of that. Number 2, Josh Oney, again, junior quarterback for Paris. He's now into his 2nd season of starting. Moved into the starting role about halfway through last year in a 19-14 win against Perryville on Friday night. He was 21 of 32 for 307 yards and 3 touchdown passes. including one to Jaden Carter, who caught 10 passes for 181 yards.
Hey,
And number one,
I just like to say here real quick, Leland, we had a really, really good story in the River Valley Democrat-Gazette on Sunday on the Paris football program and some of the things that the rocks that they use to help condition with, and that Kevin Taylor did a really good job on that. So Paris having a really good year. Good to see them pick up another win against Perryville.
Absolutely. Jeff Weaver has the Eagles soaring right now for sure. Number one, the River Valley Democrat-Gazette Player of the Week, senior quarterback Eli Jones of Lamar in a 42-7 win against Dover. He was 7 of 9 for 112 yards and 2 touchdowns passing. He also ran for 2 touchdowns with 13 carries and 144 yards. And then back to our theme of defense, 8 tackles, forced a fumble, and recovered a fumble for the Warriors in that win against Perryville on Friday night. So those are the top 5 performances of the last week in the River Valley.
I'm sorry, who did they beat again? Was it
Dover.
Dover.
They beat
Okay,
Dover,
Dover, yeah.
42-7.
I'm Sean Paul, and this is the NWA Top 5.
All right. Well, starting at number 5, we're gonna go to the high school tennis circuit, where the Rogers High tennis teams both won the 6A West Conference titles last week. The boys, Rogers High boys, defending state champions. We kind of thought that would happen. We figured, they were kind of the favorites going in, but the Rogers High girls made a run. And what ended up happening was you had 2 girls, Elise Nunn and Jaylee Bonnert, play each other in the finals, teammates playing each other in the finals. What an awkward situation, but a really good problem to have your coach, Matt Fulton. They played each other in the finals in singles, and they had a doubles team that did well too. But Elise Nunn was the singles girls champion. Harrison Deere, who won the overall last year, he won the singles championship. And Aiden Matthews and William Edwards won the doubles championship. So the big thing this week, Sydney, state tennis tournament is at Fayetteville over at the Fayetteville Tennis Center. And Rogers is trying to, win another state title in the boys. And honestly, in the girls, any one of those, Fayetteville, Bentonville, Rogers, are really capable of doing it in girls tennis. So big tennis week here in Northwest Arkansas. Number 4, we brought him up earlier. A.J. Woods of Springdale hit the 56-yard field goal in the Bulldogs' 47-43 win against Har-Ber. It's, according to the AAA record book, it is the second longest in Arkansas high school history. Leland, I don't know if you remember a guy named Andrew Miller at Hackett hitting one from 57 yards out in 1998. Again, Sydney wasn't here to see it. But that's the longest in state history, according to the record book. Alex Tejada was – okay, go ahead.
An interesting fact about that is that it actually is now the longest. It ties him with 2 other kickers, Kyle Ferry of Harding Academy. For 56 yards is the actual longest field goal in state history as far as a true field goal. The field goal in 1998 was actually a free kick after a fair catch. So it was off a tee and uncontested, which is one of those obscure rules that's even in the NFL. But it's actually ties him for the longest true field goal in state history.
So you mentioned, he broke a school record, and the previous school record was by the great Alex Tejada from the Springdale 5 team in 2005. He had it from 55 yards out. I kind of found it hard to believe that Springdale 5 team had to kick a field goal. I mean, somebody stopped him.
And Tejada, if you remember him correctly, I remember the next year when he was a senior, he was a junior on that state championship team. But the next year at Alma, they came to Alma to play, and he was kicking field goals before the game. And you know how high the press box is at Alma. I was sitting there watching him kick field goals before the game, and it was like eye level. I mean, he was absolutely booming field goals and kickoffs. It was an impressive. So to put his name up there with Alex Tejada is boy, that's just an incredible performance.
Well, and Alex Tejada, of course, went on to play for the Razorbacks. Let me give you a little more about AJ Woods. He was 7 of 7 on point after touchdowns, and he had an onside kick recovery. Recovered his own onside kick for Springdale. Number 3, we've got that Rogers 1-2 punch. Jeff Regan, Titus, Cramer both went over 200 yards rushing against Bentonville West last week. Regan had 17 carries, 212 yards, 5 touchdowns. He also completed 11 of 15 passes for 155 yards and 2 touchdowns. Cramer, how about this? Season high, 31 carries, 209 yards, 2 touchdowns. They are just really, really hard to stop. Number 2, my guy Carson Hayter at Springdale rushed 16 times for 147 yards, 2 touchdowns. He completed 7 of 12 passes for 122 yards. That's Springdale completing 7 of 12 for 122 is kind of like Hank Hendricks throwing for 400, right? I mean, that's just not what they do. So if he had a big game throwing the ball, that's just another added dimension that makes them even that much more difficult to stop. Number 1, wow, we haven't had a lot of good news coming out of West Fork so far this year, but how about this? Carson Jones, the quarterback at West Fork, is our Northwest Arkansas Democrat-Gazette Player of the Week. He completed 31 of 49 passes for 454 yards and 5 touchdowns. And Jones directed the Tigers on a 17-play, 83-yard drive over the final 3 minutes and 8 seconds and capped it with a 2-yard touchdown pass to Will Preston with no time remaining as winless West Fork beats Cedarville 32-28.
Wow.
You talk about a happy locker room. I bet that was a happy locker room for Coach Sheldon McKenzie and the boys.
For sure.
And that is our top 5 in Northwest Arkansas.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and stay tuned for the Battle of Springdale episode of Road Trip. This is Prep Rally. We'll see you guys next week.